Hello and welcome everybody to Newcastle Fans TV. This is the Crystal Palace versus Newcastle United preview, and it's at St. James's Park tomorrow at 3 o'clock UK time and 10 a.m. for me here in the US of A. So good to have you guys on the channel. Make sure to like, subscribe, and become a member of the channel. And also go download the OneFootball app too. The link is in the description for that. I get all my scores from there, and I watch a lot of other domestic leagues around Europe. So definitely go check out the OneFootball app. And also, I will be doing another watch along. I'll pull it up right here. So actually, I'll give the link to that. This will be on NFTV Extra if you guys are interested in other domestic leagues around Europe. I'll put the link down there for that. It's going to be a watch along for a very, very fun matchup, in my opinion. It's Borussia Dortmund take on TSG Hoffenheim. I'm a big Bundesliga fan. I'm a big fan of both these teams in terms of watching. I don't support them, but they play good football. They've got some really talented young players, and so definitely go check that out if that interests you. But we're here to talk Newcastle today on Newcastle Fans TV. Got a few comments early here. The Lord Ord, let's go, lad. Absolutely. Aaron Taylor, hey, Steve. What's going on, Aaron? One of our members. Definitely become a member. And smash the like button, guys. Smash the like button. Smash the like button, too. Absolutely robbed in that last game. Palace are good on the road, so expect a tough game. But St. James's Park will be right behind the team, need a win. I think it's going to be a very good game. I think it's really going to be a good game. I'm really, really excited because Palace don't sit back and just play counterattack. Sure, they do against Man City, but who doesn't play that way against Man City and Liverpool and all them? Look, Palace play good football, and we're definitely gonna be tested against. We're definitely going to be tested against Crystal Palace. They will absolutely give us a good game, and let's get into it. So first up, I'll start off with my thoughts on Crystal Palace in terms of our opposition. Shit, is the game on now? No, the game is on tomorrow. Tomorrow, rip out your intestines. Bastard, I'm in the middle of moving. No, it's on tomorrow at 3. I scared you there. I scared you there. Rip out your intestines. I was going to say, no, we ain't starting. It's tomorrow. Tomorrow. Anyways, so first off, we'll take a look at our opponents, Crystal Palace. I've got a lot of thoughts on them, and I've watched most of their games this year. And obviously last year, I thought that they were outstanding at times. They beat Man City away 2-0. They beat Arsenal 3-0 at home. They generally play very good football. I really like Eberechi Eze. Michael Olise is only 20, but he looks red hot. And Wilfred Zaha continues to be like one of the focal points for the Eagles. And I think Patrick Vieira definitely has proved me wrong in a sense. Well, not proved me wrong really, because I was correct about my initial observations about him. He's massively improved to that. So credit to him and his guys. Look, they're a good side to watch. They play good football. Tyreek Mitchell's another really, really good fullback for them. They've got who else they got? I really like their goalkeeper, Guaita. I really like Mark Gahey, Joaquim Anderson, and Chris Richards also for some center back depth, the young American who they bought from Bayern München after a loan spell with TSG Hoffenheim. So look, this Palace team don't mess around whatsoever. I put out a tweet, I think, when they beat Aston Villa in second week. The thing about Palace for me, if I were to explain how Palace, what's their greatest strength, I would say that to me, Crystal Palace's greatest strength is they have a really good blend of teamwork and individual moments of brilliance. It's not too much of one or the other. You've got guys like Eberechi Eze, who absolutely, he can go on runs and just maze through defenders with his absolutely fantastic dribbling technique. Same thing with Michael Elise and Tyreek Mitchell and whatnot. I just really think this Crystal Palace team is it's a force to be reckoned with. And actually, I'm gonna be joined by one of our members, Andy Bell. What's going on?
It's all good. Yourself? I'm going to apologise in advance just in case anyone hears any noise. Just the little ones in the living room behind us. So if you hear any banging, it's just a little one.
No worries. It shouldn't be that big of a problem. But yeah. Give me your thoughts, actually, Andy, on Crystal Palace. I have to let my Chihuahua outside because he's barking up a storm. So go talk to the people. What are your thoughts about Crystal Palace? I'll give you something to talk about. What do Palace do the best, in your opinion? If you were to explain to someone who's never seen them before, explain how they play. Go.
Yeah, we've got to be mindful of the fact that they can soak up pressure and hit one on the break. They've got a couple of good players in midfield now that they didn't have, like Decore, who can play out the tight areas. And unfortunately for us, they've got a player in form in Zaha. I'm not sure the teams, whether he's fit, but you've got to look at Zaha. I'm sure everybody else is looking at him being the danger man for us. Eze as well. Eze can get out of tight areas and get out the pitch very quickly. So we're going to have to be on the. I think it's going to be a tough game. I really do. I think we'll nick it, but I think it's going to be a tough game. It's not like Palace were last season, where they were one-dimensional and just hitting teams on the break. They can mix it up as well. They've been good at the back. That kid that they got, is it Janssen? I can't think of his name.
Joachim Anderson. And Mark Yehi.
The fact that they've got the pace on the break, they can hit you from deep as well, balls over the top. So we're gonna have to be on it.
Yeah. Who? If we pull up, let's go here. Let me share this. We'll pull up one of their. I don't know if you saw their game against Brentford on Wednesday. I caught a little bit of it. I think about a half hour or so. I saw the Zaha goal. Brilliant goal. Definitely, that just just shows his crazy quality. But out of Crystal Palace, who's a player that stands out to you, or players? Because I think there are multiple players that stand out.
I think it's Eze and Zaha for me. Decore looks at. I think Decore could be. I think it's going to be won and lost in midfield tomorrow. I really do. I'm praying Bruno's back. But if we got ASM back as well, that's going to give them something to think about, and it's going to push them back. If his form's anything to go by, he's been pretty consistent so far this season. So, as you say, that Zaha goal, we could be looking at something similar to decide the game tomorrow. It could be just a case of someone producing a moment of magic, and let's hope it's ASM rather than Zaha or Eze.
Yeah, so they lined up in a 4-1-4-1. Guaita in goal. Joel Ward as a captain. He played on the left. I'm assuming they'll swap him out for the other left back, Mitchell. So I'm assuming Tyreek Mitchell will come in. Jordan Ayew, Mateta also got subbed on. They had Gehi at the back, Joachim Anderson, and Klein. And then on midfield, 28 was so Cheek Decore is their defensive mid, who was from Lens, one of my favorites.
I've been impressed with him.
What?
I've been really impressed with him. I think he could be the player that if we can get on top of him, it might stop the ball supply line going to Eze, because it seems to be that they do play in quite quite pragmatic. He'll get the ball, he gives it Eze, and then Eze gives it to Zaha. So,
I think Palace do the majority of their damage down the left. I think Nathaniel Klein probably stunts a bit of what they do off the right, but whenever Zaha plays, he plays on the right, and so whatever damage they do, it's mostly Zaha, and then Eze will drift off to the side and combine, and Mateta will drop back a little bit and try to. The thing about their left side, though, is that Tyreek Mitchell can play. He really, really can. The goal they scored against Aston Villa at home was brilliantly worked. It started off, it was a 1-2 with Tyreek Mitchell, and I believe it was Elise, and they combined. It was stop-start, pass the ball here, bam, bam, and then Mitchell picked up the run, sprinted past Matty Cash, who's been caught out a few times this year. I've been surprised with how poor he's been. It was beautiful crossing in the box, and Mateta finished it off brilliantly.
I think for me, Steve, if we can But if we can be dangerous on our right-hand side and keep Tyreek Mitchell pushed back, that means a lot of Zaha's attention is going to be helping him out, and it might keep him a little bit quieter. So be an area where I would be I think Tyreek Mitchell's going to be a good player, but he is susceptible position in defence. Yeah. So he's going to need help. But I mean, we've said all this. We haven't even mentioned the fact that they've got Elise. I don't know whether he's fit to start, but there's another player that you can
really
turn
special.
it on.
Really special. Only 22. So he's got loads of potential. I just think I think those four, maybe even five. Hudson Edouard. I think me and you have talked about him versus Mateta. I personally favor Mateta a bit more. I think he's a bit underrated. I think Hudson Edouard still has some improving to do, but I think Mateta's quite good. They got a few options up there, because then IU usually plays as a winger too, though. So I don't know.
I'm a fan of Mateta. You know what? If you put him in your team, you know he's gonna win the ball in the air, knock down second balls. I think Edward's more of a player that he's going to play as a false striker, isn't he? He's going to get involved in the game. He tries to, at least, but I've not been. I'll be honest. He's had his moments, but I've not really been impressed with him that much. Not for considering all the hype that was coming from when he left Scottish Premier League.
So would you rather see? You'd rather see Hudson Edouard start as their?
I'd rather, for our sake, yes.
Yeah.
So.
But then that just means that Mateta off the bench can be a threat, and that's not a guy you want. But yeah, you're right. So yeah, that was pretty thorough on Palace. They've got some good goalkeeper depth too. Sam Johnston, and I think a really good goalkeeper in Gaeta. To be honest, I think he makes some terrific saves, and he's won them points for sure. So, and I think Jeffrey Schlupp is quite decent, and obviously Wilfred Zaha is.
Schlupp's a problem when your ball's in transition, isn't he? He's quick, and he can nick you a goal as well. Like he's got a good left peg on him.
He goes under the radar because when you scout when you game plan against him, you're not really thinking about Schlupp necessarily. You're thinking about Tyreek Mitchell, Eze, Olise, Mateta, Zaha, Edouard, and he just kind of goes under the radar. He does his job.
He's been playing centre midfield, though, hasn't he, for them?
Yeah, he can. He does a job. He does a job essentially, and then on their bench it's all right ish. It's probably on par with ours, maybe a little better. Milivojevic is kind of getting up there in age. I'm not too sure about Killian Phillips or Rodney, but Chris Richards is a good center back. Like I said, he came on loan from, he went on loan last year to Hoffenheim from Bayern München. And he was bought from FC Dallas. He's a good center back. I'm excited to see how he, adjusts in the Prem and whatnot.
I've not seen anything of him.
What?
I can't say I've seen anything from him, if I'm honest. I can't.
Fair enough. And then Jordan Ayew, he might actually start. He might start because he starts most of their games. So I wouldn't.
He's got a habit of scoring against us as well.
And he does. Yes, he does. And then Hudson Edouard off the bench. So they've got, look, this is a team that we can't take lightly and that I think will play some entertaining football. I really do think it will be a good game. I'm really excited. I'm excited.
Two teams that are playing high risk, high reward football, really. I mean, people would say, well, Palace are similar in styles to what they were under Roy Hodgson. I disagree. I think they're entirely different. Yes, there is comparisons that you can make when they're hitting teams on the break, but I think that their identity is a lot different now in the sense that they're trying to be involved in the game a lot more.
Play on the front foot.
Yeah.
They pick and choose when to go on the counter and when not to. And it's very refined, and it's like the game against Villa at home. A lot of that game, they were dominant, and they went, I believe, 2-1 up. Then they took their foot off the gas a little bit, but looked extremely solid. I mean, Villa haven't been very good this year, but they
were fortunate against Liverpool as well. Let's be honest. Yeah. I mean, Luis Diaz scored a wonder goal, didn't he? And Palace were under the cosh for a lot of that game. Not that Liverpool were brilliant, but they did put them under a lot of pressure, and they withstood it. So it shows you that they're resilient as well. So we're going to have to make sure that we're patient when we're attacking. We don't get, we don't rush into putting the ball into the box, for example, and we pick and choose at times to really have a go at them, because if we do commit too many forward, we will get caught.
Yeah. So if we look kind of at some head-to-head real quick here too, I'm assuming this is Premier League. Newcastle have 11 wins, 6 at home and 5 away, 6 draws between the sides. And Palace have 5 wins and 2 at home and 3 away. So we've definitely got the advantage head-to-head. 11-6, so only 5 times out of the 22 at Palace won home or away. But they've actually won three times away to St. James's Park and only twice at Selhurst. So recent meetings was the 1-0 win. I forget who scored the winner there. It was
Miggy.
Who was it? I forget.
Pretty sure it was Miggy.
It was, yeah, 32nd minute.
I was literally just watching the video of his first goal before we went live as well for Newcastle at volley.
It was a home game against Palace. So
he's got a good record against Palace.
Yeah, he does. So there's some interesting head-to-head stuff. And let's see what else we got here. Any comments, by the way? Did they read comments on air here? Yes, I will. Sorry. Yes, I'll get to that. I'll spend a few minutes there. Chris Richards is a player everyone will know in a year or two. I've loved him as I would have loved him as a Magpie. Me too. For the future, imagine Botman Richards. No, I think Chris Richards he did very well at Hoffenheim on loan, to be honest, and he earned his move because it's hard to break into that Bayern München team with the center backs, albeit they sold Sula and whatnot, but it just because it didn't work out at Bayern doesn't mean that you can't have a good career. So Ryan Room, hey Steve, what's going on? Let's see anything else. Zaha against Pope and Botman. Zaha probably yellowed for a diving against them. Zaha will be good, but not against Burn and Botman. Yes, against Pinnock. Yeah. This season, Forest. I'm just hoping for reaction after the past game. Any good reaction, we could smash past. Now let's move on to the Newcastle side of things. How are you overall feeling? We've kind of let the wounds healed since that really shite result. Well,
But I'm sure for a couple of hours after the game, the lads will have been down in the dumps a little bit. But what they've got to look at, I'm sure Eddie Howe showed them videos of that game and said, look,
we did so much.
If you look at the game overall, you could have won that game. We've had the offside goal, which you can sit all day and you could have been goal. I honestly thought the advantage was supposed to go to the attacker. And if that's not advantage to the attacker,
it used to be like that, if I'm not mistaken. It used to be like that in the 90s and whatnot.
They've said that they're bringing it in this year. They're going to let the game flow a little bit, let some challengers go, and they're going to give the advantage to the attacker. I didn't say that at all. And I think that you just got to look at it and go, do you know what it is? If you play like that against Palace, then you've got a good chance of getting a result. Just go again, and then you've got the likelihood of that Bruno might return, Botman will probably come back. So I'm optimistic, but I'm also at the point that I am aware that Palace are playing pretty well.
Yes, no, they definitely are. Like I said, I'm expecting an exciting game, and both teams are gonna put on a show. I think think there could be a lot of goals in this game, a lot of good saves, a lot of quality in this game for sure. So I'm assuming we're gonna go with Nick Pope in goal over Darlow and Gillespie, hoping that Nick Pope's all right and all that. So for me, it'll be Nick Pope in goal. I would go Trippier, Schär, Botman, and at left back I'd go Target. What about you? That back five?
Yeah, I think that would be the back four for me. Yeah, I'd be bringing Matt Target back in. I think he's probably getting over the worst of the injury that he had. He's up and back. He's had 2 matches now to get back up to full fitness. And I also think it's a type of game that we'll need him, because we'll need to break their line to get the ball forward. As good as defensively Dan Burn is at left back, Matt Target offers you a little bit more going forward.
And especially if Zaha goes off to that right-hand side, and if Ayu's on the bench or something, and they play Mateta, I think if that could be a problem. That could be a problem potentially. But more off the left, I think, is where Palace thrive. But yeah. So basically, you would go with what I went with, that back.
Yeah, I'd go with the you could make an argument for playing Dan Burn left back to stop the crosses, because it's one thing he is good at is if he's one-on-one with someone, he does stop the ball coming in the box, and ultimately, if the ball doesn't come in the box, the likelihood is that you don't concede. So but I just think he's going to be more on the positive side and think, how can we hurt Palace rather than stopping Palace hurting us?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. So let's see. And then we'll move on to midfield, obviously. Now, I have to still check if Bruno is available for the game. I think Eddie Howe said that he is he's I saw something on
In contention, I think that's what I heard. I'm not sure the press conference. I would probably, I think that the likelihood is I think you'll start on the bench.
I would too. So what would your midfield three probably be? Joelinton, Longstaff, and Willock, or would you give Elliot Anderson the start? I would. If you're gonna,
I would simply because although Willock's had some moments this season, I've not seen any consistency from him in a game. So yeah, I think I would. And you're never going to know whether he's good enough unless he gets an opportunity. So I think it's an ideal game. It's at home. Mm-hmm.
It's against a team where it's like, yeah, we're expected to win, but it's not the strongest possible opposition. And I think that, I think Elliot Anderson could cope in that game because he's going to be very energetic. And that's what Palace are too as well. Palace are very energetic. They go up and down the pitch. They cover a lot of ground. They work real hard. And that's what our side does too. So I don't see why Elliot Anderson can't get a start.
I think if ASM starts, you'll see Willock. But if ASM's not playing, I think you may see Elliot Anderson.
Fair point from Harry here also regarding the Elliot Anderson debate. Would you be surprised if Anderson started? Willock played a lot of football.
Yeah, that's such a good point Harry's made. I think he was the only first team player to start against Tranmere.
Yeah.
From the week before. So yeah, he's due. If you're going to give Elliot Anderson a game, I think you've got an ideal opportunity right now. Fair
enough. And also, so midfield three, I've got Joelinton, probably Longstaff, and then Elliot Anderson for me. Would you go the same thing pretty much?
Yeah, I don't have any issue with that three at all.
And front three is interesting too, because if ASM is around and available, what were you saying about that? Is he?
Well, they said he wouldn't make the game midweek. They said the hope for him to. I'll be honest, I've been busy with a little and all. They have now seen any Twitter feeds or anything to say whether he's fit to start. Personally, I would say straight away I'll be playing Isaac and I would be playing Miggy on the right. So it's a case of, do we go with Ryan Fraser, or if ASM's fully fit enough to start, do you go with him? If he's fit, he starts. I think it's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Yeah, so I would go
Fraser.
Yeah, and then would you play Isak again at striker?
Yeah.
For me, it has to be ASM on the left, I guess. Isak and Miggy off the right. Personally, I mean that would be my front three. So,
and the fact that you've got Anderson, I think bringing Anderson in, so you could always, if you're sitting in behind the ball, we know how good Miggy is at breaking up play in the middle of the pitch. When he tracks back, stick Anderson out on the right, waiting for us to break, and let Miggy do that work that we know that he's good at. You can change it a little bit. So I think that's where we miss Willock a little bit. I don't think Willock gets in the game as much when we haven't got the ball. You see him chase, but it's a little bit, he's behind the play a little bit at times for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And just another reminder, guys, like the video. We got 41 watching. Appreciate you all. Just hit the like button. Do your job. That's all you got to do. But anyways, let's move on now to some predictions. Predictions. So we have 2 wins out of the past 5 against Palace, but Palace also have 2 wins. And then there's a draw sandwiched in between there. We have a relatively, like I said, we've had 22 games against them, 11 wins for us, and 6 draws, and then they've only got 5. So what are you feeling for this game?
I'm thinking it's a 3-1 win to Newcastle, and I think it'll be 1-1 at halftime. I think we'll put it on them in the second half, and we'll get another 2 goals.
Interesting. Okay.
Miggy first goal.
Miggy first goal. Fair enough. Okay. Let's look at some comments here. Aaron Taylor going 2-1. That's been a pretty common scoreline for either way. Sebastian, what's going on, man? I think I'm gonna go. I think I might go 3-2 Newcastle. I think Palace definitely have 2 goals in them, but I think we have 3. I think Isak will get a goal. I'll go for a Joe Linton goal, and then I'll go a Miggy winner, Miguel Almiron winner, because that's happened 2 times. So Sebastian's going 3-1 Newcastle. Isak with 2. Oh, that'd be amazing. Greg Monk's 4-2. Isak 2-1 Tune. Fair enough. Zaha with
crazy though, isn't it, Steve? That if you go back last year when you did the preview for Crystal Palace at home last season, I bet we weren't getting these predictions last season. It's so much better that we've got optimism actually going into a game to win it.
Yeah. Now, what's the matchup you're looking most? Like you're really thinking about one-on-one. I'm thinking Joaquin Anderson versus Isak. I want to see how they handle him. Gahey or Anderson on Isak. I'm very intrigued by that matchup, just to see if they'll see how they'll deal with them.
Be a good test for him, because regardless of what you might think about Crystal Palace, he is a good centre half, and I think he could do a job for the team in the top 6. He may not start, but he's still very good. He plays out the ball very well. One for me is, if Bruno does start, I want to see how good this Decore is, because I'm a bit of a fan of him, but I think that type of player, us having Bruno, could be the difference between it being a tough game or a quite comfortable one.
Lee Guggen has gone 2-1 or 1-0 to us. Fair. A 4-0 Tune win. That'd be amazing. I hope so, but maybe we could do that against Bournemouth, but I'm not sure. Palace, they're a good side away from home and at home. I think they'll probably finish around 10th, to be fair. But Adam Bell, become a member, guys, definitely. I think Zaha and Isak both scored. We sneak it 2-1 in the final 20 minutes. Yeah, fair enough. Look, I see this game as a game of momentum shifts. I think there are going to be times where Palace are attacking us for 10 minutes, and then we'll have a go for about 10 minutes. And I think there's going to be back and forth stuff going on. Like I said multiple times in this video, I really do think it's going to be a good game. Because
I think that's why I think it's vital to have Bruno, mate, because you don't want to be doing that type of game with Palace, because that's what they're good at. Yeah. And we've got, we have got a slightly weakened side, and a side that's still evolving, let's say. I mean, if you go toe-to-toe with them, then there's more chances that you are going to concede. And I honestly think that when we are under the cosh, when you've got a player like Bruno, he can just say, right, we're going to calm things down now, and we're going to just play for 10 minutes. And then when the home crowd starts getting back into it, that could be the massive difference, the 12 person in the crowd.
Yeah, I think so too. Another good matchup that Greg is making a prediction on, that Botman will pocket Eze. That Botman versus Eze, yeah. It's also a test for Longstaff too, to see if he can cope with Eze. Because like I said, Eze can go on these sneaky little runs. He's really good with both feet. Starts the pace. That's what all good dribblers do. The best dribblers aren't the guys that go top speed the full time. It's stop, start, stop,
balance,
footwork.
You can play a pass as well. Against Liverpool, I think Zaha should have had. He could have had a hat trick that game, and I think a lot of it was down to Eze.
Yeah, no, Eze, I would 100% take at the Tune. I think he's phenomenal. He's 24. He's gonna be hitting his prime pretty soon, relatively. So I'm a big fan of him. He's probably my favorite Palace player, to be honest. I fucking love him, but we'll see. Is Ben Arfa better than Eberechi Eze? I think Ben Arfa's had a better resume, but Eze's still young. We don't know what Eze will do, but talent-wise, ceiling, I think what Eze does have the edge on Ben Arfa, probably attitude.
I don't think that's in question. I think definitely his attitude's probably a bit better. But I'm biased, mate. I remember the first time I was in the stadium watching Ben Arfa play. Just we'd never seen someone. Robert was brilliant, but he wasn't like Ben Arfa. Ben Arfa was nutmegging people, sending them for a hot dog, and then doing it again. It was something we hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
And on his day was unplayable. Like, probably a better dribbler than ASM in my opinion. Because when he dribbled, he went past the player. He didn't kind of beat them and then do it again. Once he was past them, he was past them.
Yeah. ASM likes to toy with them.
Yeah.
Essentially, like tease them, like, oh, I beat you there, but I'm gonna give you another chance now. So yeah, you're right. With Ben Arfa, he was just like, I beat you and I'm gone. And that's what Eze does. Eze's got
if
that. If
anyone's never seen the goal he scores against Bolton, watch it. Or Blackburn. Just in the swivel of the hips. I remember a game against West Brom. We had Papi Cisse and Demba Ba. We had the ball in our goalkeeper rolls the ball out, and I think it's within about 10 seconds we scored a goal. And he's got two defenders running towards him. He flicks his hips, turns to the left, and just whips it in the bottom corner. It's like they're the kind of things that I want to see from ASM. He's clearly got the ability. Let's start seeing it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's our score predictions. Me and Andy. I'm going to 3-2. Well, I should probably specify. Both of us 3-1 and NUFC wins. There we go.
I just hope we don't build this up to be a high-scoring game. We got a 0-0 draw.
It could be because Palace are a defensively pretty solid side. They almost had the clean sheet win against Brentford, but Wissa scored late. Who I really like Wissa, to be fair. So
yeah,
they controlled most of that game, in my opinion, against Brentford at home. I just think they just let it slip a little bit. But Brentford, that's what Brentford give you too. They give you a tough game and they don't ever give up. So Palace, Palace are a good side. It's gonna be a good.
I'll tell you one thing that I'm a little bit intrigued in senses is Manquillo going to start getting some minutes, because we've got to think of if, for example, Trippier needs rested or anything like that. Ideally, he's the only one that can come in at right back at the moment with Kraft out.
Yeah.
So it would be good to see him, even if he's not involved, for 10 minutes at the end of the game or something. We need to get him some match practice. So if he is called upon, then he's match fit. You don't want him starting from cold.
Yeah, for sure. What's everyone's thoughts on us bringing Ross Barkley in as a threat off the bench? He might still be a free agent, I think. And I think free agent signings you can make at any time. But I think the registering thing is the problem. Barkley on a free, I guess why not? 2
years ago, I would have said definitely. Now, I don't know, man.
The wages he would demand, I think, would be the thing where I'd be like,
I don't think his wages would be that bad. At the end of the day, at the moment, he's not getting anything.
Yeah.
He's got no wage coming in. So, I don't know. I don't think he'd be asking for astronomical wages. But again, it's going to be a case of how fit is he?
Yeah.
And for sure. Where in the squad does he improve? Is he improvement on Longstaff? The best Barkley probably is, yeah. But is the best Barkley probably behind Ross Barkley?
I've always fancied Ross Barkley as an attacking mid, personally.
Yeah, that's what I get him as. Yeah, he's a 10 or he's an attacking 8. You can play him off. But I just think that midfield's settled. Now, we've kind of getting to the point where the window's shut and we've went, right, okay, we know what we've got. If we're desperate, bring him in. But I think there's probably other free transfers out there that make more sense.
Good point for Dan Kane, though. We need depth. We
do.
Because we talked about this last night with Jay and Lee about how this is a very, very different year. The COVID year was really, really weird with the late start and the late restart and then the early start and then the late finish. And then now we've got the World Cup stand. So it's going to be another very crazy year, a unique one. So I guess to be fair, to Dan, that is a good point depth-wise, because if Willock gets injured, Longstaff gets injured, and if Bruno's, not, and Joe Linton could get injured too, like we have been dropping like flies in some regards, to be fair. That's kind of always been the frustrating part, is we haven't seen our full best 11, because ideally we can have a 4-3. Our best 11 could be something like Nick Pope in goal, Trippier, Schär, Botman, Target. We get that a lot. That's fine. But the midfield 3 of Bruno Guimaraes,
Shelby's probably in the starting three for me.
Shelby, and he's obviously going to be out for a while. And then Bruno Guimaraes, Joe Linton in the midfield 3. And then we have a front 3. You can put Isak off the left, Callum Wilson up top, and ASM off the right, where me and you both think that's his best position.
Yeah, I know
we haven't seen that lineup
position
yet. So.
I don't think he prefers that position, but he swapped against I'm not sure it was against who was it? Anyway, he went on the right hand side for 5 minutes and straight away caused problems on the right hand side. Yes. I just find that I know he wants to cut in and have a shot on his left foot. I just think he's more productive on the right.
I think he is too. I think he's more unpredictable. The only time, and I feel like I say this almost every video when I talk about ASM, the best that we saw ASM off the left, besides the Man City game and a few others, I'm talking consistently good off the left, was when we had Jetro Willems.
Yeah.
When we had Jetro Willems, because they had a really good chemistry together. They really did. They knew how to read each other and when to drop back and you know, I think during that period under Bruce, ASM had no responsibilities in the sense of getting back, and he was literally the pivot of the team getting forward, wasn't he? With the ball gets to the left hand side and get it to ASM and let's get up the pitch. That was our game plan really. So and Williams was able to get up the pitch as well with him, so I think that's why it worked. I just think if you look at a lot of ASM's assists for us, he's either in the middle of the pitch coming from the right hand side or he's heading up towards the right. I just think he's better on the right, personally. And I think you get more out of Isaac as well on the left. So, yeah, we may end up with Wilson and Isak together on the field. I mean, like, that probably is why we bought Isak, because he does work on the left as well. Like, but he's also cover, and he does a great job at both positions. So, I mean, like, that's why we bought him, I would think.
Long term, he's going to be a forward, isn't he?
Yeah,
long term, he's going to be the forward. Yeah. But once we're strengthened in other areas.
At the wing. Yeah, exactly.
Sam said yesterday on Sky Sports,
yeah,
you know, yeah, we've got Miggy to come in, but the problem that we've got is at the moment, if ASM's out, you've got Ryan Fraser and Miggy. What's off the bench? Nothing. Other than Anderson, who's most, in my opinion, central. You've got Murphy, and unfortunately, he's just not up to it.
Yeah, that's true. Liam from the channel asked, would you risk Wilson and Isak together? And then Dan asks, how is that necessarily a risk? They aren't going to hurt each other. You could play a 4-2-2-1-1 where you have Isak up, or sorry, well, yeah, I would want Callum Wilson up top and then Isak to kind of create below. That could work, something like that, a 4-2-2 and a 1-1. That could possibly work. But I think he fits into a 4-3-3 anyways. So
I see what he means by risk, because potentially the pair of them could get injured in the same game. But I think the odds on that are quite, But yeah, I want to see it. Never mind the risk. I want to see it. And I agree with you. Wilson's the focal point up top.
Yeah. So that was our preview for Newcastle versus Crystal Palace. I'm going 3-2, and he's going 3-1. But let us know what your predictions are. And we'll catch you guys later. Remember to download the OneFootball app. And like Dan mentioned, we've got 54 people watching at the moment. We only got like 26.
Would you play Elliot Anderson ahead of Willock?
Please? Yes. Comment below if you would play Elliot Anderson ahead of Willock. I would, but that's just me and Andy's opinion. What's yours? So go and download the OneFootball app, become a member of the channel for only 99 pence a month, and we'll talk to you guys later. Away the lads.
All the best, everybody.
And thank you, Dan. Awesome show. Glad to stumble upon you. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it. Anyway.